It's time for Petsylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin. Dr. Bob guides you through the latest veterinary techniques and procedures to keep your pets in the best of health. Petsylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. With your ears up and tails wagging, here is Dr. Bob.
Good morning. It's bright and sunny on a Saturday, Buckeye football Saturday today, so I'm pretty excited about that. Again, let's just get a quick thanks into Elanco for being my sponsor, along with my hospital, SylvaniaVET, but Elanco, the maker of Trifexis and Comfortis, great next-generation oral flea control. We are in the heart of flea season, seeing lots of animals with itches, lots of animals with fleas every day, and we're using more and more of the either Comfortis or the combination pill Trifexis and Comfortis, having great success controlling the flea population. We're never going to get it completely under control unless you manage the house and the yard as well, but the animal will become a dead end for the fleas, and that's really what we desire. The other thing I'd like to do is we'll mention a little bit about SylvaniaVET, 4801 Holland, Sylvania at Haroon. One of our many services that make us a pet care destination is grooming, and we have two really high-quality, experienced groomers, Nancy and Katie, that are do all their work by appointment. We also, so you can call and schedule, and you can leave the animal there all day while you're at work, or you can say, I'd like to go shopping for a couple hours. Is it possible to get it done in a couple hours? And they'll try very hard to accommodate that. And an animal who's really stressed out they'll allow you to stay and work with them to help keep your animal calm. We can do it for dogs that are coming to daycare. We do it frequently for dogs as they get ready to go home from our boarding facility, or dogs that come in, they get their wellness exams, and then they to grooming and get that done, and they do it all in one day. That's one of the great advantages of being a one-stop pet care destination. Let's talk about bones. People think that giving bones is a good idea. It's good for their teeth. You got that T-bone left over, and you know how much your dog's going to love that. But let me tell you something, that bones of almost every kind, natural bones of almost every kind, are really hazardous for the pet's health. We had a dog in recently, this past weekend, started on Sunday, didn't go home until Wednesday because the owner had fed ham bones to the dog. The dog had crunched them up into tiny little pieces and basically turned his colon into a feces, bone-filled, sharp-edged organ, and the dog was in excruciating pain, terribly backed up. We couldn't get its bowels to move, and there was just a tremendous amount of blood. It took pain management, enemas, and manipulation more than 3 days to get him back to health. And at one point in time, he nearly fainted. He was in so much pain as we were trying to help him and relieve that constipation. Use consumable bones. Don't use natural bones. They can also crack teeth. In the hard sterilized shank bones that they sell in the pet stores, those are better used as a club than as they are as a chew toy for your dog, because we see many dogs with cracked molar teeth, and then I get to do extractions or root canals, so I guess there might be an advantage. So it's the veterinary dentist's best friend to use chew toys that are more damaging, potentially damaging than they are beneficial. So we do not recommend that you give any type of natural bone to your dog, whether it be one that they might chew up or one that they might just be able to gnaw on. So if we end up with a dog that has, diarrhea for any number of reasons, they got into the garbage, they ate too much, they got a big bowl of milk. Many times dogs are lactose intolerant and don't tolerate milk, and so they get diarrhea. And that's a problem because of the mess that it creates. And most everybody likes to know, what can we give at home if we're gonna if our dog has diarrhea, so that we don't have to bring him in. And unfortunately, there really isn't much in the drugstore that's available for you that is safe. Used to be that we would just do we would recommend kaopectate. And kaopectate from the drugstore is now owned by the same company that made Pepto-Bismol, and they've converted kaopectate into Pepto-Bismol kaopectate, and it's the same. And Pepto-Bismol has 3 different salicylates in it, which are all related to aspirin, and aspirin is very potentially harmful to dogs. So we do not recommend Pepto-Bismol or kaopectate from the drugstore. They are selling some in the pet stores some pet-related kaopectate that's straight kaolin and pectin. And then we have a product that we like a lot. It's a paste. It's called Propectolin. It is not a prescription item. It's something that you could come in and buy. It's got about a 2-year dating on it, so you could set it on the shelf and you'd have something at home that if your dog got diarrhea and you wanted to try treating it right away, you would have that available to you. It has a probiotic as well as kaolin and pectin in a oral paste, and we use it a lot, and we find it really, really beneficial. Got a question. I love it when we get some questions. It gives me more things to talk about from Don, and he wanted to know about joint supplements. And right now he's using the joint supplement that we recommend, and that's called Dasequin. It's made by the Nutramax company. We consider that the premier manufacturer of canine chondroitin and glucosamine. They also make a product on the human side that's available, and the Nutramax company does probably as good a job or better than all the homeopathic nutraceutical companies of providing a product that is close to FDA quality. They also make a product that they sell online in the pet stores called Cosequin. Cosequin was the first product that they came out with. They enhanced it and improved it by adding some additional joint protectives to the Dasequin, and that product's available only through veterinarians. But Cosequin, made by the Nutramax company, is an equally good product. The multitude of other products that are out there in the form of joint supplements are not something that I recommend, because you just don't know the quality of the manufacturer. Now, lots of veterinarians sell a variety of other products, but these all come from companies that I question their scientific approach to the manufacture of the product, and so I don't feel real comfortable recommending those or using those. A study that was done, and there's been more than one, but the one that always sticks out in my mind was a study that was done by an independent lab, and they picked up 31 chondroitin glucosamine products, human products, from stores that sell them, including grocery stores and drugstores and health food stores and what have you. They analyzed them strictly for content, and what they found is that of the 31 different products tested, only 7 of them actually had the pill, what the pill bottle said was in the pill. So how do you know what you're getting? I mean, it's impossible. And that doesn't even take into account, is that product bioavailable and is it absorbable? And those are things that are not easy to tell. And so I've had people that tell me that they've been on one product and they were fine, and then all of a sudden it quit working because they had switched products. So I would say stay with the high-level brand names. The Dasequin is the best. Second best is Cosequin, because they're both made by the Nutramax company. And the human product is called Cosamin ASU, and that's the product that if it's going to work, that's the one I would choose if you're going to give that a try for your arthritic knees. But you didn't hear that from me, because I can't give advice on human treatment. Thanks, Don, for that question, and keep them coming if you would, please. You know, crusty skin, something this time of year particularly we see a lot of, and everybody comes in and they're worried that maybe their dog has fleas, and they may or they may not, or they're worried that their dog has ringworm. Probably not if it's an adult dog living in a normal household. But what they probably have is that they have these round circular lesions scattered throughout their skin, their back, their belly, their chest, their armpits, and these things look round with a crusty margin and kind of look like a volcano. And that is a spot of superficial bacterial infection. We call that superficial pyoderma, and it may or may not contribute to some itching in the dog, and it may or may not contribute to some body odor. But the solution to that is medicated bathing and antibiotics. Antibiotics are almost always necessary. Time for a break, and we'll be back. Well, I'm back, and I wanted to tell you about another one of the services that we have at SylvaniaVET, and it's our positive dog training. We do basic obedience as well as puppy development classes. And Doug Ritter is our trainer. He has 30 years experience. He is the founder and owner of Dundee Canine, and so he holds classes up in his home in Dundee, Michigan. But he comes down Tuesdays and Saturdays and does classes for us, and he's just doing a bang-up job. We're really pleased. Our next set of classes start on Tuesday, October the 6th. We have a basic obedience class starting. And then on Saturday, October the 16th, we have basic obedience and puppy development class starting. So these are just really terrific classes. There's not a dog out there that doesn't benefit from coming to obedience class. And yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks. And so we think that even if you have an older dog that maybe needs a refresher class, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Well, I got a note here from Steve that talked to me about his dog eating an entire 5-pound bag of flour. I can't imagine what a mess that must have been, and scattered around the house. And I'm unaware of anything other than the volume of that product going down and then potentially mixing with water and stomach juices, of that causing any problems in the dog, other than the fact that it might upset that GI tract and we'd have the diarrhea. Now, there might be a situation where you wouldn't want to treat the diarrhea. You might want to let that move on through and clear out before you try to stop it up. So not every case of diarrhea is best handled by giving something to stop the diarrhea. But I'll tell you, one of the things that we see occasionally, and I'm not sure I've ever personally seen this, but it's in the literature, and that is the dogs get into the kids' Play-Doh, and that can be really, really harmful. And there's some homemade Play-Doh recipes as well. And if the dog is to get a hold of those, that could be a problem. I've seen reports where dogs have gotten into the loaf of bread that's been rising, and now that sucker goes down into the stomach, and it's got yeast in it, and it's warm and it's moist in there. And all of a sudden, that bread starts to rise a whole world of a lot faster, and it could very well obstruct the stomach and be a heck of a mess trying to get that out. Probably the messiest surgery I ever had to do on a dog was a golden retriever that got into the garbage and ate all of the corn cobs for a picnic from roasted corn. And this was just an unbelievable mess. It was about an hour's worth of surgery removing this stomach full of corn cobs. And if they get out of the stomach into the small intestine, they can really cause very severe problems. So, keep your garbage covered, seal up the bag, throw it into the big garbage can, get it out of there. Don't leave it laying around, because dogs are curious, and you get something like the turkey string that you use to, truss the turkey up, and now it's saturated with all that great turkey juice and everything. And the next thing you know, the cat's got it and swallowed it. Now I get to do surgery to go in and remove a linear foreign body. The same thing with the dog. So be careful there. Dogs and cats are looking for something to get into trouble with. If just given them half the opportunity. So probably one of the funny stories is I got called in for emergency surgery on a Christmas Eve, and the whole family's there, of course, and they're getting ready to go to church. And in I go for this hit by car that was found on Centennial by the township police, and they called me in, and I went in, and we had to go to emergency surgery on this dog because it had a ruptured spleen. So they saved dinner for me. Well, my dog and my son's dog, both Portuguese water dogs, were left home alone. And when we got home, the entire pork loin that we had left for me to slice up and have some dinner was gone. And the knife that was with it was on the floor. Fortunately, no cut dogs, but they had certainly enjoyed their pork loin. So I had a bowl of scalloped potatoes for my Christmas Eve dinner while everybody else was at church. One of the things to talk about, and we hear a lot, is, and there's a lot of information on the internet, and boy, I can't tell you how much of a grain of salt you should take with information that you get on the internet. But I would tell you, it's an entire package. It's just most of that information out there is just either wrong or inaccurate, and it's not the place to get information. And but one of the things that's out there is this idea of feeding raw foods to dogs. And there's not a veterinary nutritionist around that endorses that. So that should tell us something. These are trained professionals, and the raw food diets, depending on how they're processed and the health kitchens from which they come, they can carry up to 50 different diseases. And not only then are you handling this food on your kitchen counters and are you feeding it to your dog, but there is the risk that you could be contaminating your yard with many of these contaminants. E. coli, salmonella from raw eggs, E. coli from chicken, listeria from raw beef. Listeria is a really serious problem in that if a pregnant woman gets it, it can cause birth defects. I just think that feeding raw food is just a really bad idea. And it seems like that this cycles around. There's actually a book that's been published by a general practitioner in Australia, and it's called The Barf Diet. It's BARF stands for bones and raw food. I consider it to be the word what it says. It is the barf diet. It is something that should be avoided. It is not a scientifically balanced or natural diet, and it's not what the animals would eat in the wild. There was a really cool book by Farley Mowat where he watched, when he was right out of his undergraduate school, he went up into Canada and watched for a whole summer packs of wolves, and he discovered that these wolves ate lemmings, and that they weren't out hunting bigger game. They pretty much subsisted on lemmings, and so they were eating the whole thing, of course. So they were getting skull and skin and feet and innards, and that provided something of a balance to the diet. But when we start selectively feeding chicken wings or something of that nature, we're not creating a balanced diet for the animals. It's important to understand that if your dog shows signs or your cat shows signs of urinary tract infection, they're going to show increased licking down in their genital area. They're going to have frequency. They're going to have straining. They may have blood in their urine. They may mistakes in the house. And there's only one sure way to make that diagnosis, and you must get a sterile sample. You cannot collect a sample of urine in a cup and take it in and expect the veterinarian to be able to make a diagnosis. There's a lot of mistreatments prescribed of antibiotics off of that, because as that urine passes through the urethra and the vagina in the female and the urethra and the prepuce in the male, there are bacteria and white blood cells that are washed out of those sites, and they mix in the urine, and it makes it look like there could be a urinary tract infection. So you must get a sterile sample, and the only way to do that is with a needle and a procedure called a cystocentesis. We use our ultrasound to do cystocentesis. It's very safe. Doesn't hurt any more than getting a vaccine injection. Dogs rarely object to it. Cats rarely object to it. Something that we do every day, many times every day, safely and effectively, and it enables us to make a really good, solid diagnosis. If a cat urine has a specific gravity of greater than about 1045 to 1050 and a normal pH, the cat can almost impossible for it to have a urinary tract infection. And so, again, it's important that you get a sterile sample, because any other way of getting a urine sample in a cat is really bad. You can't take it off the tabletop. You can't squeeze their bladder till they release it. You're going to bruise the bladder and you're going to hurt them. So, if you're worried that your dog might have or your cat might have a urinary tract disease, take it into the vet and have them get a sterile collection through cystocentesis. Time is flying. We're back in just a few minutes. We're going to wrap it up here, and one of the things I'd like to do is that I'm active on Facebook, and I would invite all of you to please friend request me at Robert Esplin on Facebook, and you can also go and like the SylvaniaVET page on Facebook as well, and you'll have an opportunity to ask me some of these questions that we can then answer on the air, and just follow along with things that are going on. So please feel free to make a friend request of me on Facebook. Lots lots of events to talk about. So this month, Saturday the 22nd, is the Dog Days of September, sponsored by Stotzenberger, and it's at Lucas County Rec Center from 9 to 4. Come on out, bring your dog, bring the family. It's going to be a ton of fun. The next day is an event sponsored by the Golden Retriever Rescue, and it's called Andy's Army, and it's a fun walk, and money is going to go towards cancer research in dogs. If you would like to learn more about that, it's Sunday, September the 23rd at Sidecut Metro Park, but you can check their website at www.gr-rescue.org, and you can learn more and you can register. Then in October the 19th, the Paws and Whiskers Cat Shelter, which really needs the support of animal lovers, whether they be dog or cat lovers, they are in serious financial difficulty and they need your help. And one of their biggest fundraisers of the year is the Cool Cat Strut, and that's Friday, October 19th. It's a Halloween costumed event, tons of fun. We're involved in that as a sponsor, and we would encourage as many people as can go to please attend or buy your tickets and give them to friends, because that'll really help them raise some funds. And so those events are going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be involved in those. And then also on the 9/22 event that goes to benefit the Toledo's Pet Bull Project, and it's called the Motorcycle Poker Run. So you motorcycle riders out there, you might want to get involved in that, and it's a lot of fun. I've never been on one. I don't know if they stop it. It says 5 to 7 stops for Poker Run. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they stop and play poker at these locations or if they drink ginger ale, or both of those things. It sounds like a lot of fun. It's at the Travelers Motorcycle Club, 8950 Dorr Street, Toledo 17. So there's going to be entertainment provided by Masfina, and registration starts at 9, and the bikes are on the road at 11, and sounds like an all day for an awful lot of fun. So I would encourage you to do that. If I had a motorcycle, I probably would give that a try. So what I'd like to do now as I sign off, of course, I'd like to thank Elanco for sponsoring and SylvaniaVET for sponsoring. Come see us, call us 24/7. We have emergency care. We have a technician and a staff member in the building to answer your phone calls regardless of the time of day or night. You can't find that service anywhere else in the city. So 419-885-4421. Check out our website, www.SylvaniaVET.com. I'll leave you with the ongoing thought that there's only one greatest pet, and it lives in your home. Thank you, Elanco.
You have been listening to Petsylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin on WSYLradio.com. Petsylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. Tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m. as Dr. Bob explains the latest in veterinary care and answers your questions. You can email your pet questions to requests@WSYLradio.com, and Dr. Bob will answer them on a future show.